Ready? Fuck it. Let's do it. Hi, kids. Welcome to another episode of Escaping the Cave. It is the Toddzilla X-Pod. I'm Todd. Hi there. It's episode number 155. Third one and the second one in a week. I'm getting ahead of myself. It happens. Record date here is February the 12th, 2025. It is a beautiful, snowy, not quite yet, Wednesday afternoon. Another winter storm warning in effect, I think. Seems like every week on Wednesday we get a storm. Ice storms, snowstorm this week. Winter in lovely Michigan. It's kind of cool. I'm glad this year we bought this big, huge snow blower. Right after we bought it, nothing happened. Yeah, at least gonna get a workout. Hope you're good. Now, I don't know there's no way to keep up with all this. Absolutely none. You just can't. There is no way that you can do it. Unless you sit in front of a TV or next to your phone and just keep refreshing, scroll, you're not going to be able to keep up with everything that's happening in this country right now. Just no way. And God forbid you're trying to produce anything. You miss a day, you gotta start over. You miss that day, you gotta start over again. So, fuck it. I don't care. I just don't care. I'm gonna do the best that I can. And we'll see where the shit splatters. Hopefully it goes with the wallpaper. That's all I can say. Anyway, what's the big thing now? It's the DOGE. The DOGE outrage. They're outraged. The far left. Just the left now, I guess. It all seems like far left to me at this point. But they're just... I want to say verklempt. I use that word a lot. I know. I use it a lot. But they're out in the streets. Trying to get out in the street. At least the politicians are out in the street. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. There's this big, little old rally. Well, it's a big one. You know how I know it wasn't big? Because the crowd shots were all tight on the stage. There was nothing wide. See, that's the thing you can do. Let me give you a little pointer, being a former photographer here. If you really want to sort of deceive whomever sees your artwork and make the crowd seem bigger, you get really tight on it. So they can't see around the margins at how sparsely populated your moment of righteous activism really is. Remember the million, Occupy, trying to have like a million something or other march, 5-10 years ago. They came to Kalamazoo. I don't think we had lived here at that point in time. I don't think we'd come back. But yeah, they tried something down in Kalamazoo here. And I think of Bronson Park. And there was nobody there, hardly anybody there. There were like 30 people, but they tried. There were little journalists who tried. They'd get all these people together, probably told them to get together, get really tight, and then took a low shot, and it made it look like, implied, there was a righteous revolution happening downtown Kalamazoo when it was really just basically an activist fart storm. Well, that's the impression that I got yesterday. You could tell by the sound. There was hardly anything. It was just, yay! Like 2-3 people. It sounded like there was more than 2 or 3 people. I don't know how many there were because you couldn't tell. But yeah, the leftists, the Democrats, I thought that incitement of violence was sort of a criminal act, a vile thing to do in a thriving democracy. Did you see the woman, I think it was maybe about a week ago, a little less than that, talking about Elon Musk and saying that she said this passionately, repeatedly, 3 or 4 times. We are at war. Here it is.
And goddamn it, shut down the Senate! We are at war! We are at war! Thank you.
We are at war. We'll see you in the streets. All right, foment. Is that the right word? Foment or forment? I don't know. Whatever. I shouldn't use big words on this podcast anyway. Somebody told me that. They said it's a sign of white supremacy if you use big words. So, God forbid I do that. Trying to start, trying to ignite. The righteous revolution against Elon Musk, President Elon, they call him, and Donald Trump. I said back in December, didn't know really which way this was going to go. I remember that BLM, and where are they? Just tweeting. That's all they're doing. Not even doing that very often. But after, they came out after the Daniel Penny thing, started agitating again. And I was wondering if this was going to be some sort of another summer of 2020. I didn't expect the resistance to be so impotent. And that's what this reminds me of. They're trying like hell. It looks like these politicians, these Democrats, they have nothing else. They have no way of stopping Trump legislatively. They have legislative dysfunction. Let's call it that. Tulsi Gabbard, that was supposed to be the big question, whether or not she was going to get confirmed. Well, just happened a couple hours ago. She was indeed confirmed. Nobody has been stopped. None of these appointments. Pete Hegseth, confirmed. Tulsi Gabbard, confirmed. RFK is coming up. His vote's coming up. Kash Patel, oh my God. I'm looking forward to this. I may have mentioned in the open to the last episode that the ICE folks trying to go and arrest these Tren de Aragua gang members, these criminals, these illegal criminals, illegal immigrant criminals in this country. So they're planning their little raids. Somebody on the inside, somebody in the FBI, apparently, is leaking this information. They've had news crews showing up before ICE to cover the raids or maybe tip off these are gang members. Venezuelan gang members. The media is tipping them off. Someone in the FBI is tipping them off. Obviously, if you're dealing with a violent gang and you're tipping them off before law enforcement comes to, drag them back to Venezuela, you're putting people's lives at risk. And not only that, what if there's some kind of a shootout? These gang members are armed. What happens then? Innocent bystanders? What if a poor innocent child whose fault is that? They'll try to spin it that it's ICE's fault, that they came in and they were just, reckless. That's how they'll try to, of course they'll try to spin it that way, but really, were they? If you tipped off the gang that they were coming, it took away the element of surprise, had them barricaded inside an apartment building, let's say in Aurora, and a gunfight breaks out because they weren't surprised. Whose fault is that? I don't know if this rises to the level of treason, but it's something. I'll leave that to people much smarter than me to decide. And Pam Bondi has said emphatically and with no equivocation that that's exactly what's going to happen. They are going to be prosecuted. Whoever's leaking this, Tom Holman said he thought it was somebody in the FBI. Pam Bondi didn't exactly discount that theory earlier today. Kash Patel. He's yet to be confirmed. Adam Schiff really doesn't want this to happen. Adam Schiff, oh my God. He of the freshly pardoned Schiffs in California. Railing against Kash Patel all week. I didn't really have an opinion about Kash Patel before. I do now. I want to see him at the head of the FBI. I want to see what happens. I want to see the shit show, the bloodbath. I want to know, Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know what's going on in the FBI, just the same as I want to know what's going on at these federal agencies that Elon Musk, tasked by Donald Trump, is starting to shine some light upon. And isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that as soon as they've started finding the bureaucratic rot within the federal government, the corruption, incompetence, however you want, whatever, as soon as they started finding that's when the Democrats decided to get all up in arms and start to agitate, start to call their faithful out into the streets. As soon as that started. Even the Wall Street Journal, the bastion of liberals' common sense. I don't know what the fuck it is anymore. It used to be a conservative paper, and what it is anymore. But even the Wall Street Journal this week said, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you standing up for bureaucrats and not standing with Republicans to try to figure out where the wasteful spending, where the bureaucratic rot, the hole in the federal budget boat is? Why are you so passionately defending that? Wall Street Journal. Nobody has a problem. Almost nobody has a problem. The typical suspects, the typical 30%, who are the extreme far left. I always count on them to, not have a problem with shit like that. But everybody else, it's like a 70-30 approval on what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing inside of these federal agencies right now, gutting the wasteful spending, the corruption. I'm going to call it the bureaucratic rot one more time. 70% of the entire country, this includes Democrats, want this to continue, want this to go on, and they really want to know what's happening inside of those agencies. And the Democrats, this is the hill. This is the thing that they think is going to drag the rats back out into the streets. Isn't that a Metallica song? Just like the Pied Piper, they had rats in the street. Yeah. No, a Megadeth song. Yeah. Symphony of Destruction. You know what? It fits. DOGE is the symphony of destruction. Sure. But this is the thing. This is the thing that gets these fucking people animated. And I'm sorry. I'm not going to really try to censor or clean up my languages, because have you heard? Everybody wants to fuck Trump now. This was the big thing. This is their big statement. This is their big coming out party, I guess, to try to motivate people out of their homes to join them in righteous revolution in the streets. They decided to say, fuck Trump. Repeat. Did you see this sea hag from Oregon? Here.
I don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump. Please don't tell my children that I just did that.
What the fuck was that? How do you not cringe? How do you, I don't even know what to say. Who is this? What is this? This is supposed to be taken as a serious and legitimate alternative to Trump. Oh my God, I said fuck. 70% of the people in this country agree with what's going on. They want to see the wasteful spending cut. And I think a big deal of it, a big part of it, is they want to see exactly where it's been going. And it's again, I know I'm going on and on about this, but it's telling. It speaks volumes that the thing that's getting the Democrats all up and getting their panties in a bunch, their trans panties in a bunch, is that they're actually exposing what's going on in the federal government. They can come up with any excuse they want, any rhetorical masturbation they choose. They can deploy it, and the typical, fellow traveling suspects, well, they'll eat it up. That 15 to 30% on the extreme far left running around carrying swastikas and pictures of Chairman Mao who can't make it with anyone anyway. They're going to eat all of that up. The people who like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and AOC and Ariana Presley now, Presley or Presley, who cares? But this is the hill that they've apparently chose to die on. Save the bureaucrats. Bureaucratic lives matter. At least they don't have to change the signs, right? Bureaucrat lives matter. Well, BLM, hey, blah, blah. I'm sure that's going to go really well. I'm sure. In fact, I encourage this. Keep defending the bureaucrats. Keep defending bureaucrats. Sending $59 million to New York City this week after Trump put the freeze on federal spending, federal expenditures. Bureaucrats inside, I think, of FEMA took it upon themselves to defy the order, sent $59 million to New York to take care of illegal migrants, while down in North Carolina, all sorts of people living in tents, living in these little RVs, can't get any help. A lot of them couldn't get any help because they had Trump signs in their yard. This is not a good look, Democrats. I encourage you to keep it the fuck up. Please, you're making my job, the counter-revolutionary's job, a whole hell of a lot easier. And those of you who are sitting, again, I know. I'm not really talking. See, I'm using a straw man here. It's this tick I have. Okay, I know that I don't have any woke flakes listening to this show anymore. If you are, seek mental help. You have a self-abuse problem. Anyway, if this is the thing, if you're sitting at home trying to decide if this is going to be the thing that animates you again, that gets your revolutionary panties in a bunch, if this is the thing you're wondering about, really? Bureaucratic rot? How are they twisting your head? What are they doing to... I know the answer to this. I got a few episodes back there that'll kind of explain. Self-righteousness, moral certitude. I'm on the right side of history. I'm righteous and they're evil. Therefore, everything our minister says is the word of social justice, the word of the social justice gods. That's how. Bureaucratic rot, that's the hill you're going to die on. You got to do something. I understand that. The revolution, as I say right now, again, it's only February 12th, 2025. We're only 3 weeks, less than a month into Trump's administration. I understand that. A lot can happen when the weather starts to warm up. I expect it to. You should expect it to, too, friends. But as I say right now, it's pathetic. They're completely discombobulated. Did you see? I'm almost embarrassed for them. Almost. Embarrassed for any of you who are still following that. Did you see their little, whatever the fuck that thing was a couple of weeks ago, where they were selecting their new chairman? Here's some highlights. Enjoy.
Many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in Vice President Harris's defeat.
Brothers and sisters.
That's good. You all passed.
We had a 20-point shift to the right of our young people.
That when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced.
We must show our young people.
And we'll start with Dr. Quintessa Hathaway.
Good evening, everyone. It is my desire to be the next DNC chair.
Because I don't just tweet.
When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on. Oh, you fight on.
In order to be gender balanced, we must elect one male, one female, and one person of any gender.
All four of the most powerful positions of the party at the DNC are poised to belong to people of non-color.
So again, this is what we have to do for this vice chair race.
May the endless, boundless energy of the universe wrap around you with awe and love and well-becoming. Amen.
How dare you?
Ashe, Amin, and may we together make it so.
We have to elect one male, one female, and one person of any gender. We conferred with our RBC co-chair, our LGBT caucus co-chair, and others to ensure that the process is inclusive and meets the gender balance requirements in our rules.
There are a lot of good billionaires out there that have been with Democrats who share our values, and we will take their money.
So after everything that happened throughout the electoral season last year, they had their moment of self-reflection. Oh, look deep within and figure out how we're losing the American people. How did we let this happen again? How did he beat us? How did he beat our appointed DEI woman of color? This is what they came up with. Rules about gender representation in the party. And then, you know what happened? Did you see the end of that? Did you hear the end of that? If you're just listening to the podcast, did you hear the end of it? It's a white guy. The guy was white. A white middle-aged man. Anyway, talking about how they're going to take billionaires' dollars, as long as it's the right billionaire. I don't have a problem with billionaires. They have a problem with apostate billionaires. Billionaires who don't spend as they see fit. They don't have a problem with being rich, with getting rich. Right, Bernie? Right, Nancy? Where's she been? She convalescing because of that damn hip thing? Or is she just sort of, I'm out of this? The billionaire class. That's the new one. This is the new moneyed bourgeois thing. If you know anything about the Russian Revolution, know anything about it? That was the big thing. That was the scapegoat. The moneyed bourgeois, the rich people. The rich people were the cause of all evil. Even the good ones. Even the good ones. Even the ones who maybe saw the supposed error of their ways and tried to repent, tried to get on the good side, tried to do the right thing in the eyes of the revolution, and give up their money, give up their power, whatever it is. Become part of the proletariat. They were persecuted just as hard as the ones who didn't. The moneyed bourgeois. You can't say moneyed bourgeois, can you, Comrade Bernie? You got to come up with something else. The billionaire class. What the fuck is the difference? Beyond cement, what is the fucking difference here? The revolution has slipped into neutral. It's sliding back down the hill. The foot apparently has pushed the clutch too far, and they're starting to roll back down the hill. I know that went over a lot of you younger folks' heads. You older people will get it. Appreciate it, probably. And don't you think it's peculiar that, Donald Trump is the president of the United States? Remember, this was Hitler. This was the big old fascist. And communists see fascists under every single rock, believe me. That's where 1930s history is a lot of fun. Communists and fascists hate each other. They're mortal enemies. Hitler attacked Soviet Russia after he was their ally. He always wanted them wiped out. And communists are the same way. They feel the same way about fascists or any supposed fascists. They feel about fascists the way patriotic Americans back in the 1950s and 60s felt about communists. mortal enemies, oil and water, they cannot coexist. And anywhere they see them, they will try to root them out and eradicate them. So anytime you're hearing all of this fascist talk and the moneyed bourgeois talk sort of wrapped in the billionaire class burrito, you have found, to some degree, to one degree or another, whether or not they label themselves as such or not, it doesn't need to quack and waddle around and to be called a duck, right? To some degree, the billionaire class, moneyed bourgeois, fascist, you found yourself a Marxist. And they may not even realize that this is something that I've been kind of dancing around, wanting to talk about for a long time. I don't think a lot of these people, especially the young ones, ignorant little college kids, I don't think they realize they're Marxists. I think they did such a good job on the long march through the institutions that started in the 1960s, more coming. They just didn't say communist. They just didn't say Marxist. They rarely, only in the last 10 years, they allow themselves to use the word socialist. They just didn't say it. They didn't label themselves as such. So these young, ignorant, these successive generations of ignorant young people, and they are, young people are ignorant. I hate to tell you, kids, you're ignorant. Successive generations who think they've found something new like every generation does. They think they found something new under the sun every single time, don't they? We did, right? Well, every single time. That happens now. Communist, Marxist, socialist. It's not part of their lexicon. It's not how they have been defined. It's not how the indoctrineers have defined them for them. At least in the 1930s, they were proud to call themselves communists. They were proud to call themselves communist revolutionaries, Marxist revolutionaries. They're going to fight the righteous revolution. Now that phrase, that gets them all erect, right? You ready for the revolutions, shouts AOC. They mean it. They don't have the historical context, I don't think, of the communists marching through places like Cuba, South America, Central America. And God forbid they get a clear indication of actually what happened in Soviet Russia. How many people died under Lenin and Stalin or Mao in China? They don't know. It's just everybody. It's equity. It's Shangri-La. Nobody has to work. Everybody gets everything. And the same of every equity. Equity is Marxism. It is. Literally. That's what I was talking about in the last episode. If you missed it, go back and listen to it. It's pretty good. It talks about the boomerang. It talks about a lot of things, really. But it was recorded before COVID hit, back in 2019. I think May 2019. And we hadn't had the DEI enema as of yet. And I was trying to figure out what all of this stuff means. I was seeing some of the dumbest shit. Like, equality is inequality. Literally. I mean, it's Orwellian, right? War is peace kind of shit. And that's what they were doing. They were trying to redefine all of this stuff into these Marxist terms. Equity. Replacing equality with equity. It's clever as shit. The things sound the same to stupid people who don't think about the words they use or hear. Equity and equality will sound the same. They're not. They are nowhere near the same. Equity in outcomes is literally the foundational principle of Marxism. I mean, equitable outcomes for everybody down here. The proletariat, the righteous proletariat, they will rhetorically fillet at every opportunity. The proletariat, they get these low-grade equitable outcomes. While the bureaucracy, the bureaucrats and the higher-ups, the political elites, higher up the communistic chain, the Marxist chain, thrive. They get the stuff, they get the things that are left over after they give the proletariat their equitable crumbs. Equity. Equity is Marxism. And they did a good job. I have to give them credit. They understand maybe a little bit, or understood more about the people in this country, especially these idiots over here, the young idiots on the left who don't understand, don't have any historical context whatsoever. They can't. It's not completely their fault. They only learn what they've been taught. And this goes back to the long march through the institutions, the long march, the long Marxist march to take over the institutions, and it began with universities, the 1970s. And here we are. So you send your kid to a college thinking they're going to get an education. Well, that dog's been beaten to death by now. You know where I was headed with that. But they pulled it off to some degree. They got it. They did it. They managed to take equality, yank it out of the zeitgeist, and replace it with equity. A lot of really dumb people love the idea. A lot of borderline retarded white people love the idea. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Nobody that I know of, very few people, there might be a couple, and people that I'm really friends with. I don't really know of a lot of people who are opposed to diversity or inclusion. Letting people join, having a diverse workforce, having a diverse variety of opinions. That didn't quite make it in there, did it? Anyway, I don't know of a lot of people. It's the E, stupid. The equity part. The equitable outcomes. That is so antithetical. That is so against every single American principle of equal opportunity. Opportunity. Equal opportunity, not equitable outcomes. Equality in opportunity. That's what this country is about. That if you work hard, do what the fuck you're supposed to do. Do more than the next guy. Work harder than the next guy. That you can achieve something. You can be successful, profitable, even prosperous. But the very notion that everybody deserves the same, regardless of merit, talent, effort, work ethic, whatever it is, just based on the color of their skin, or what's in their pants, or what they even would like to have in their pants now. The notion that all things have to come out equally. Now you're seeing the backlash to it. Now you're seeing the overdue boomerang. It's flying in and hitting people in the face. And it's glorious to see.